Most people spend Valentine's Day chasing romance, but a certain breed of human spends it chasing a manager to complain. We are talking about guys blaming a waiter for a failed proposal, or men demanding a standing ovation from staff for ordering expensive wine. From suing a jeweler over a bad reflection to wanting a waiter fired for being too handsome. These are 55 Valentine's Day complaints that prove some people are just professional mood killers. 1. A guy in Boston complained because his waiter didn't look impressed enough when he ordered a $500 bottle of champagne. He argued that for that price, the staff should have provided a small round of applause, or at least a gasp of surprise to validate his financial status in front of his date. He actually asked for a discount because the lack of external validation ruined his alpha male vibe for the night. Do you think people who spend this much money deserve a special performance, or is this just pure ego? 2. At a high-end wine bar, a guest sent back a rare bottle of wine because the cork crumbled slightly when it was opened. Even though the wine tasted perfectly fine, the man insisted the entire bottle was contaminated by the smell of wood. He made a huge scene in front of other couples, claiming the sommelier was trying to poison him with forest debris. Have you ever been out with someone who makes a massive deal over a tiny mistake? It is usually a sign to run for the hills. 3. Math can be a real mood killer at dinner. A couple in Boston complained because their shared seafood platter came with 5 jumbo shrimp instead of an even number. They argued that it was impossible to split the dish fairly and that the restaurant was trying to start a fight between them. They sat there for 10 minutes debating who got the extra shrimp instead of just eating. Does an uneven number of appetizers actually bother you? Or are these people just looking for a reason to be mad? 4. One woman in Florida took the classic song about a dozen roses way too literally. When her husband brought home a beautiful bouquet that accidentally had 13 flowers, she didn't see it as a bonus. She saw it as a sign of bad luck and a potential message that he was cheating with a baker. She spent the entire night calling the florist and demanding they come to her house to remove the extra rose because she refused to touch the cursed plant. Talk about a total mood killer. 5. A high-end hotel in New York received a written complaint from a guest who said the complimentary rose candles smelled like cheap funeral flowers. The guest claimed the scent was a psychological attack designed to make her think about her mortality on the most romantic night of the year. She wanted a free suite upgrade and a personal apology for giving her a midlife crisis. Would you actually care what a candle smells like if the room was already fancy? Or is there a limit to the rose scent? 6. A woman in Detroit demanded a different server because her waiter's name was the same as her ex-husband's. She claimed that every time he introduced himself or checked on the table, it triggered a flash of rage that made her soup taste bitter. She filed a formal complaint with the corporate office saying the restaurant should screen employee names before assigning them to tables on romantic holidays. Can you imagine losing a tip or being moved because of a name you have had since birth? 7. A guy in Ohio tried to sue a candy company because the heart-shaped box his chocolates came in was slightly dented. He argued that the dent represented his broken heart and that his girlfriend almost broke up with him because she thought he bought it from a clearance bin. He sent 20 emails to the corporate office demanding $10,000 for pain and suffering. Most people just eat the chocolate and move on, but this guy decided to make it a legal battle. 8. A couple at an Italian chain restaurant filed a complaint because the complimentary breadsticks were straight instead of being twisted into the shape of a heart. They argued that because it was February 14th, the kitchen should have put in the extra effort to make the carbs look romantic. They refused to eat them and asked for a manager to explain why the restaurant hated the spirit of the holiday. Does the shape of your food actually change the taste? Or are these people just looking for a reason to get a free meal? 9. A teenager's mother filed a complaint against a gift shop because the giant teddy bear her son bought was 3 inches shorter than advertised. She claimed the height discrepancy caused her son to lose his confidence and that the girlfriend laughed at the bear's stubby legs. The mother wanted the shop to pay for the couple's dinner to make up for the humiliation. What is the weirdest thing a parent has ever done to defend you in public? I need to hear these stories. 10. A man tried to file a complaint with the city council because a road closure diverted him away from the scenic route to his proposal spot. He claimed the city's poor planning made him miss the sunset, which made his proposal less cinematic. He actually asked for a tax credit because his engagement photos didn't look as good as he wanted. Imagine blaming the local government because you couldn't check the traffic report before popping the big question. Some people really believe the world stops for them. 11. Most high-end restaurants offer a fixed-price menu on Valentine's Day to keep the kitchen from collapsing. However, one guy in Boston lost his mind because the $300 seafood experience didn't include chicken tenders. He argued with the waiter for 20 minutes, claiming his girlfriend has the palate of a toddler and that the chef was being an elitist for not having frozen nuggets in the back. He actually left a 1-star review saying the restaurant was discriminatory against picky eaters. 12. A woman in Dallas called a luxury jewelry store to complain that the diamond earrings her husband bought didn't sparkle enough under her kitchen fluorescent lights. She was convinced they sold him pieces of glass and demanded an immediate home visit from a gemologist to verify the stones. The store had to politely explain that diamonds actually need a decent light source to reflect properly. Can you imagine having so much money and so little understanding of basic physics? Some people just want to be victims. 13. Timing is everything. But one guy in Seattle took it to a dark place. He ordered a massive floral arrangement to be delivered to his wife's office at exactly 10 in the morning. Because of a minor traffic jam, the driver arrived at 10:15. The man called the shop screaming that the 15-minute delay ruined the entire surprise and demanded the flowers for free. He claimed those 15 minutes cost him his dignity. Honestly, would you even notice if your flowers were 15 minutes late? 14. We have all seen those awkward public proposals that end in a no. But one guy in Atlanta tried to blame the restaurant for his failed engagement. He filed a formal complaint, claiming the waiter brought the champagne 5 minutes too early, which ruined the dramatic tension he was trying to build. He actually asked the manager to cover the cost of the ring since the atmosphere was compromised. Do you think a restaurant should ever be held responsible for a bad date? Let me know. 15. A couple booked a luxury spa day, but the husband ended up complaining because his massage therapist didn't talk to him enough. He claimed the silence was awkward and made him feel lonely, even though his wife was on the table right next to him. He wanted a partial refund because he didn't get the social interaction he expected from a relaxation treatment. Most people go to a spa for peace and quiet, but this guy wanted a stand-up comedy routine with his deep tissue rub. 16. A woman in Miami filed a complaint against a famous chocolate brand because the heart-shaped box didn't include a map of the flavors. She accidentally bit into a piece with coconut filling, which she apparently hates with a passion. She called it culinary Russian roulette and claimed the brand was negligent for putting her through such a traumatic tasting experience. She even threatened to report them to the health department for hidden ingredients. It is chocolate, lady, not a bomb disposal unit. 17. A jealous guy in San Diego filed a formal complaint against a waiter for being too attractive. He claimed the server's jawline was distracting his date and making him look like a bridge troll by comparison. He demanded the manager move them to a section with a less handsome waiter or ask the current one to wear a mask. Imagine having so little self-confidence that you view a total stranger's good looks as a personal attack on your relationship. This is peak insecurity right here. 18. A social media influencer in Los Angeles complained that a romantic Italian bistro had lighting that was too dim. She argued that she couldn't get a crisp photo of her lobster linguine for her followers and that the restaurant was hurting her brand by being too romantic. She actually asked the staff to bring out a construction work light so she could get the perfect shot. Do you find it annoying when people spend their entire date night on their phones? Or is that just the world we live in now? 19. A guy in Phoenix complained to a local cinema because the popcorn was too crunchy, which made it hard for him to hear the romantic dialogue in the movie. He wanted the manager to pause the film and bring him a fresh batch of pre-softened popcorn. When the manager explained that popcorn is supposed to be crunchy, the guy accused him of having bad customer service skills. He spent the rest of the movie sitting in silence with his arms crossed like a disappointed child. 20. A couple at a steakhouse in Nashville complained because their waiter was too happy. They claimed his cheerful attitude was distracting them from their serious conversation about their future together. They requested a different server who was more stoic and professional because the current guy's smile was ruining the moody vibe they wanted for their evening. It is pretty wild to think that being too good at your job can actually get a complaint filed against you on Valentine's Day. 21. A man in San Francisco spent his entire date night complaining to the manager about the valet service. Apparently, it took 12 minutes for his car to be brought around because the restaurant was completely slammed. He claimed those 12 minutes caused his date to lose interest in him and demanded the restaurant pay for a second date to fix the damage. It is honestly impressive how some people will blame a parking attendant for their own lack of personality and a boring conversation. 22. A local bakery gave away free chocolate truffles to every couple on February 14th. Most people would be happy, but one guy staged a protest because the truffle was dark chocolate instead of milk. He told the cashier the bakery was ruining his girlfriend's diet and demanded they pay for a gym membership as compensation. Do you think businesses should even bother with freebies if people are going to act this ungrateful? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. 23. Live music is a staple for romance, but one couple in New Orleans filed a complaint because the jazz trio was playing too many sad songs. They argued that Valentine's Day should only feature upbeat hits and that the blues music was depressing their libido. They actually asked for a discount on their dinner because they felt the atmosphere was too melancholy for a successful night. It turns out you can't please everyone, especially people who think they can dictate a musician's set list. 24. Last-minute shoppers are the absolute worst, and one guy in a Philadelphia grocery store proved it. At 8 o'clock on Valentine's night, he screamed at a teenage clerk because they were out of long-stemmed red roses. He claimed the store was personally responsible for his wife's upcoming disappointment and demanded they call other branches to find him a bouquet. Some people really wait until the last possible second and then act like the world owes them a miracle for their poor planning. 25. A woman in Denver filed a complaint with a food delivery app because her heart-shaped pizza arrived looking like a lopsided circle. She claimed the driver must have been driving recklessly, causing the dough to shift and ruin the aesthetic for her social media. She demanded a full refund and credit because the romantic vibe was destroyed. Would you actually care if your pizza was a little ugly as long as it tasted good? Or is the photo more important than the actual food? 26. Dress codes exist for a reason, but one guy in Las Vegas didn't get the memo. He tried to enter a 5-star steakhouse wearing a stained hoodie and flip-flops, then filed a complaint when he was turned away. He argued that his outfit was expensive designer streetwear and that the restaurant was being elitist. He even tried to record the hostess on his phone to shame her online for following the rules. It is wild how some people think their comfort is more important than the standards of a business. 27. A couple at a premium cinema in Austin spent 40 minutes arguing with staff because their reclining seats were not synchronized. The woman felt that if her husband reclined 2 seconds faster than her, it symbolized a lack of unity in their marriage. They didn't just whisper about it either. They stood up in the middle of the movie and demanded a private screening where the seats were controlled by a single remote. The manager eventually had to escort them out while the rest of the theater cheered. 28. Scent is a big part of the dining experience, but one woman in Houston took it too far. She complained to the manager that the woman at the next table was wearing a perfume that was way too strong. She claimed the floral notes were interfering with the taste of her truffle pasta and demanded the other diner be moved to a different section. When the manager refused to move a paying customer, the woman held her napkin over her nose for the rest of the night to prove her point. 29. A couple booked a romantic getaway in Seattle and specifically requested a room with a view of the Space Needle. When they arrived and saw that a portion of the view was blocked by a nearby construction crane, they demanded a full refund for the entire weekend. They argued that the machinery was an eyesore that ruined their emotional connection. It is funny how some people think a hotel can control the entire city's skyline just because it is February 14th. 30. A man in Atlanta tried to use a gift card that had expired 3 years ago and was furious when the system rejected it. He claimed that because it was Valentine's Day, the restaurant should make an exception for the sake of love. When the manager explained they couldn't process the old card, the man accused them of stealing his money and ruining his anniversary. He spent the next hour writing a nasty review while his poor date sat there in total silence, wishing she was anywhere else. 31. A guy in Portland filed a complaint with the Parks Department because the public park where he proposed was too beautiful. He claimed the manicured lawn looked fake in his photos and made it seem like they were standing in front of a green screen. He demanded the city reimburse him for his photographer's editing fees to add some brown spots and weeds so it looked more authentic. Seriously, how do you get mad at the city for actually doing their job? Some people are just desperate to find a flaw. 32. A woman at a high-end bar in Chicago filed a complaint because the ice cubes in her cocktail were standard squares instead of heart-shaped. She argued that since the drink cost $25, the staff should have frozen every individual cube into a romantic shape. She claimed the sharp edges of the square ice were emotionally aggressive and ruined the soft vibe of her date. When the bartender offered a different drink, she refused and instead spent an hour lecturing the manager about attention to detail. Seriously, who has the energy to be offended by the geometry of frozen water? 33. One man in Phoenix called a major greeting card company to complain that their Valentine's Day cards were too romantic. He claimed the poem inside was so well written that it made his own lack of effort look bad by comparison. He wanted a refund because the card raised his girlfriend's expectations for a gift he didn't actually buy. It is wild to think that someone would blame a $5 piece of cardboard for their own laziness in a relationship. He basically sued for being outclassed. 34. You can't control the weather, but that didn't stop a couple in Chicago from complaining to a rooftop bar. It was February, freezing cold, and extremely windy. They were upset that the outdoor heaters weren't powerful enough to keep the woman's hair from blowing around during her photos. They demanded the manager install temporary glass walls on the spot or give them their entire bottle of wine for free. Some people truly believe that paying for a cocktail gives them authority over the elements. 35. You would think people know the moon follows its own schedule, but one woman in Oregon was furious. She complained to a local news station that the moon wasn't full on Valentine's night, which ruined the aesthetic of her backyard dinner. She blamed the local government for not timing the holiday better, or providing some kind of artificial moon for the public to enjoy. Is it just me, or does it feel like some people skipped every single science class in school? Tell me the dumbest thing you have heard. 36. A woman in Nashville complained to a luxury candy shop because their heart-shaped box was too difficult to open. She argued that the struggle to get to the chocolate caused her to burn more calories than she intended, which gave her an unwanted workout on her cheat day. She wanted a voucher for a free box of truffles to compensate for the physical labor she had to perform. It is a special kind of laziness when you want a refund for the effort of opening a gift you're about to eat. 37. A man in Virginia returned a massive bouquet of premium roses because they were too red. He claimed the vibrant color was distracting his girlfriend from his face during dinner and was technically a form of visual competition. He demanded the florist spray paint them a duller shade of pink or give him a full refund for the arrogant flowers. It is truly bizarre to think someone would pay for the best roses in the shop and then get offended by how healthy and bright they look. Do you think people like this are just looking for a reason to be unhappy? Let me know. 38. A couple at a boutique hotel in Maine complained that the luxury candle in their room was too quiet. They were expecting one of those wooden wick candles that crackles like a fireplace, and when they didn't hear a sound, they claimed the atmosphere was broken. They wanted a discount on their stay because the silence of the candle made them feel uneasy and ruined the romantic tension. Some people have clearly spent way too much time in quiet rooms if they are getting spooked by a tiny flame. 39. A woman in New York filed a complaint against a jewelry store because their mirrors were too flattering. She bought an expensive diamond necklace but felt like it looked worse once she got home to her own bathroom. She accused the store of using deceptive technology in their glass to trick her into feeling beautiful, so she would spend more money. It is the ultimate first-world problem when you are literally complaining about looking too good in a mirror while wearing a fortune in diamonds. 40. A guy in Arizona complained to an outdoor restaurant because the air smelled too much like the desert. He argued that since it was Valentine's Day, the restaurant should have pumped out a strawberry scent to mask the natural smell of the environment. He actually suggested they install massive fans to blow the natural air away from his table to create a custom bubble. Some people really think they are living in a simulation where they can just change the weather settings whenever they want. 41. A man in Seattle filed a formal complaint against a hostess because she said, "Happy Valentine's Day," with too much enthusiasm. He claimed her high energy startled him so badly that he spilled a drop of water on his silk tie, which ruined his confidence for the entire evening. He demanded the restaurant pay for his dry cleaning and provide a free dessert to compensate for the emotional trauma of a friendly greeting. It is wild how being polite can actually get you in trouble if you run into someone determined to be miserable. 42. A woman in Philadelphia complained to a steakhouse because the special holiday menu used a cursive font that was too elegant. She claimed the curly letters were a form of elitism, designed to make her feel uneducated because she had to squint to read the word filet. She didn't just ask for a regular menu, she demanded the manager apologize for the linguistic microaggression. Imagine being so deeply insecure that you feel personally attacked by the way a printer put ink on a piece of paper. 43. A guy in Denver called a luxury boutique to complain that they wrapped his wife's gift too well. He claimed the wrapping was so perfect that it made him look suspicious, as if he had hired a professional to hide a guilty conscience or a secret affair. He wanted the store to send someone to his house to rewrap it in a messy amateur way so his wife wouldn't ask questions. Is it even possible to be too good at your job? Or is this guy just projecting his own guilt onto a piece of paper? 44. A couple at a romantic resort in Hawaii filed a complaint because the other guests around them were laughing too much. They argued that Valentine's Day should be a time for quiet, intense, staring into each other's eyes, and the sound of joy from nearby tables was breaking their concentration. They asked the hotel to implement a mandatory whisper rule in the dining room so they could focus on their own connection. Some people really want everyone else to be as serious and boring as they are. 45. Being a waiter on Valentine's Day is a special kind of hell. One server reported a couple who arrived 2 minutes late and threw a tantrum because their window table was given away. They didn't just ask for another spot. They sat on the floor in the entrance and refused to move until the other couple was forcibly removed. They kept shouting that their love was more important than restaurant policy. It is amazing how quickly a romantic evening turns into a public tantrum over a parking lot view. 46. A man in Dallas returned a box of gourmet chocolates because there were too many different flavors. He claimed that having 24 unique truffles caused him choice paralysis and gave him a headache, which effectively ended his date night early. He demanded a box where every single chocolate was exactly the same so he wouldn't have to think while eating. Have you ever been so overwhelmed by options that you just got angry? Or is this the ultimate sign of a lazy brain that cannot handle variety? 47. February in Minneapolis is freezing, but that didn't stop a woman from complaining to the city. She was upset that the memorial bench where her boyfriend proposed was too cold to sit on for an hour-long photo shoot. She argued that the city should install heated outdoor furniture for romantic holidays so couples don't have to suffer for their memories. She actually asked for a refund on her city taxes for the month because of the physical discomfort. It is amazing how people expect the government to control the weather. 48. A man in Atlanta called a high-end stationery store to complain that the Valentine's card he bought was too heavy. He claimed that the thick premium cardstock made it feel like a legal document or a court summons, which created an atmosphere of pressure and obligation instead of lighthearted love. He wanted a refund because the weight of the paper gave his girlfriend the wrong impression about the seriousness of their relationship. Sometimes a card is just a card, but for this guy, it was a heavy psychological burden. 49. A woman in San Francisco complained to a jeweler because the silver platter they used to present an engagement ring was too reflective. She claimed she saw a distorted version of her own chin in the metal, which made her feel insecure right before her boyfriend popped the question. She demanded the store give them a discount on the diamond because her memory was now forever linked to a bad angle of her own face. It takes a special kind of vanity to blame a serving tray for your own reflection. 50. Music can set the mood, but it can also cause a total breakdown. A couple at a fancy bistro in Seattle complained that the background jazz was too upbeat for their deep emotional connection. They demanded the manager change the entire playlist to a specific heavy metal album they listened to on their first date. When the manager declined, the man started humming the songs at the top of his lungs to drown out the saxophone. Nothing says romance like screaming Metallica over your pasta. 51. A woman in Phoenix filed a formal complaint at a steakhouse because her salad was too loud. She claimed the crunch of the romaine lettuce was physically preventing her from hearing her boyfriend's romantic whispers. Instead of just eating quieter, she demanded the chef steam the greens until they were soft and silent so the acoustic environment of the table could be restored. It is truly peak absurdity when you want your fresh vegetables to be soggy just so you can hear a guy talk about his fantasy football team. 52. A woman in Chicago sent her medium rare ribeye back 3 times because the grill marks looked too much like hearts. She claimed it was a passive-aggressive attempt by the kitchen staff to mock her recent divorce. Instead of eating the steak, she demanded a full refund and a handwritten apology for emotional distress. Seriously, how do you even look at a piece of meat and feel bullied by the geometry? It is a masterclass in finding reasons to be miserable during a nice dinner. 53. In Austin, a couple complained to a boutique hotel because the analog clock in the lobby was ticking too loudly. They claimed the rhythmic sound was creating a ticking time bomb sensation that pressured them to have a breakthrough emotional conversation before their dinner reservation. They demanded the battery be removed immediately because the passage of time was offensive to the timeless nature of their love. Imagine being so stressed by a clock that you blame a wall decoration for your own relationship anxiety. 54. A man in Miami filed a complaint against a local florist because the roses he bought were too aromatic. He claimed the scent was so powerful, it gave his girlfriend a sneezing fit, which he interpreted as her body physically rejecting his romantic gesture. He wanted the florist to pay for a couple's therapy session to fix the emotional rift the flowers had caused. Have you ever had a gift backfire so spectacularly that you tried to sue the person who sold it to you? Some people will literally blame anything but their own bad luck. 55. We have a man who tried to sue a luxury resort because the Do Not Disturb sign on his door was the wrong shade of red. He claimed the color was too aggressive and put his girlfriend in a negative headspace right before he intended to propose. When she eventually said no, he blamed the signage for subliminally signaling her to stop. It is the ultimate move to blame a plastic door hanger for the fact that your partner just isn't that into you. Sometimes a sign is just a sign, but for this guy it was a legal conspiracy. Valentine's Day proves that while love is supposed to be beautiful, some people are just professional mood killers. From blaming a waiter for a failed proposal to getting angry at a gift for being wrapped too well, these stories show how fast a romantic night can turn into a total nightmare. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the pettiest reason you have ever ended a date or a relationship? Tell me your story in the comments. If you enjoyed this look at human absurdity, hit the like button and subscribe for more.